Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the podcast. Steve Buzza here, partner in crime.
Megan Buzza.
So, Steve and Megan taking on season 2. It's technically season 2. We did a few last year, but season 2 is the real. It's the second album, but the first album didn't go as well. But the second album is when this band really goes. Maybe not Taylor Swift. Who's someone lower than Taylor Swift?
Oh, we're going Taylor Swift.
We're going Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Digressing already. So today's podcast, we're talking beginning of the year. What are the top 3 things you can do to get into your season, make this season great? I appreciate we got people watching in different parts of the world. So like when we were in Florida, you might be humming in your season now.
Yes.
But let's make the assumption everybody's kind of in that, let's get excited about golf, let's get at it. So Megan, you're going to go first. Top 3, make your season great again.
Make your season great again. All right. So the first one is I would get a lesson from my trusted coach, which is you. So to start my season off to the right foot, I want to make sure that I'm working on the right things.
So sell a lesson straight away. I like what you're doing. Podcast, let's get them into lessons. But serious note, what I see, and I think you'll probably agree with this one, people think I need to get going and then have a lesson.
Yeah. I see it a lot as a coach, right? Like, oh, I'm not quite ready to come back after I've had a lesson with them. And then you're like, oh, you're probably working on the wrong things, but
yeah,
I'll see you next time.
Well, we want to, so for the beginning of the season, and I'll use this example. So a couple of years ago, I started learning piano. So reason I was learning piano was it's advised that if you coach and you're coaching in that environment that you are really comfortable in and you are an expert on the information within that environment. So take up something that's kind of out of the comfort zone so you can be empathetic with your student. Mm-hmm. So I take up piano and straight away I start doing what everybody else does. Would leave a piano lesson, super excited. I'm going to practice every night. Then life would get in the way. I wouldn't practice. And then the next week, I had times I'd be driving to my piano lesson going, maybe I'm ill. Maybe I can call them now and tell them I wouldn't want to make them ill. You know, the same feelings that people get. And I think, one, it's going, look, it's a normal feeling. But B, your coach isn't going to judge you and your coach isn't going to be angry at where your game is. It's our job to find the good and make that get even better, rather than, oh, I can't believe John didn't practice. Yeah. You know, it's kind of is what it is. Let's deal with what we've got. Let's make the future better rather than dwell on the past. And yeah, I think beginning of the season, it's almost that nervousness, isn't it? I don't want to, see how bad I'm playing. Let's start playing a bit better and then I'll get them. Or yeah. I need them when I'm a bit better. Whereas it's like, to your point, get the lesson, come up with a plan.
Yep, plan it out. What about you? What's your first one?
So my first one, initial peak.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is you've got to do, so if you want to get better, you've got to do some technical work. You might want to, it could be a number of things, but I have to decide when do I initially want to start playing well. So when I say initial peak, if you're training for the Olympics, it's very easy. In 4 years' time, I need to peak. Can you see, when it's more of a rolling season, and what I find with golf, and I'll use Rory McIlroy as an example. Rory's number 1 goal is to win the Masters. It's the only thing that's missing on his resume. Yeah. So he can't go, look, I'm going to keep working, do technical work, get better and better and better, and then by the end of the season, I'm going to peak. So can you see it'd be easier there? Let's peak for the Tour Championships. In football, American, Super Bowl. You want to peak for the Super Bowl, the last game of the season. Can
So
you
you're
see?
building up
Yeah.
for that.
Rory needs to peak in April.
Yeah.
Usually for us, our big event, whether it's the biggest event or it's the event that means the most to you, might be earlier on in the season. In England, we used to have a lot of big events beginning of the season. It almost dictated if you got in the team, so you could play in the team stuff later on in the year. So it was almost effectively used as trials. So you can't be going, well, I'll do lots of technical work, get really good in November if all of my golf is in July.
Yeah.
So
And it's just
when is the
it's an
initial
interesting
peak?
thing with this initial peak because I know for someone like myself, it is always up and down. It's a roller coaster. I mean,
Yes.
anyone, right? And so there's no one that is just peaking the whole time, right? So
100%.
they're going to have the ups and downs, but I never even thought about it that way at all. When I was playing, it was always just every tournament you feel
Correct.
like you have to peak on each one. So there never is that buildup. I wonder how many people do feel that way that
Correct.
they haven't planned for that.
And can I go into my second one? Because I think they're
Yeah, absolutely.
really tied. So it's a 80-20 rule. So I'm going to spend 80% of my time working on my strengths, 20% on my weaknesses.
Wow, that's opposite of what a lot of people would be trying to
It
do.
is, and again, it ties in with that initial peak. Because if you're spending all your time working on your weaknesses, your strengths aren't going to be ready for the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm then not going to peak. And I want to simplify it. If you win, and the beauty with golf, it's win the event, shoot my best score ever, beat that nasty course. So a win can be in very different form. But if I'm going to win, it's going to be my strengths that get me there, not my weaknesses.
Yeah, but interesting.
So when we're focusing all our time on our weaknesses, our strengths start to fail us. To give you an example, putting used to be my weakness. I'd spend 90% of my time practicing my putting. My putting was hitty with an S. It was only ever going to get mediocre. It was only ever going to become into a round where it's acceptable. My good scores were coming from my strengths, which was driving, long game, driving in particular. So can you see, I worked 90% on putting. Putting actually slows your driver down. So you're getting negative transfer from the putting.
Really?
People forget that.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm getting negative transfer into my driver. My putting goes from bad to acceptable. My driving goes from exceptional to okay.
Yeah. Oh,
I now hole a few extra bogey putts.
yikes.
So 80-20, work on your strengths. Beginning of the year, I might even go, I'm not going lower than 80-20, I might go even more. Just only work on my strengths. Because if I take my strengths out there, I can actually feel like I've got something. If I'm not confident with my strengths, my weaknesses are going to show up even more.
And just kind of realizing that whoever you've gotten to the level of your game with those strengths, so don't forget,
Absolutely.
who was with you before you made it famous.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
That was something more to do with our marriage than it was anything else. Let's quickly and abruptly move on. This is where you need a sponsor. Anyway, now I need to mention our sponsor, this piece of paper. Second.
Yours were good. Your first two were good.
Go on, then what's
I
your
like
second
those.
one?
All right, my second one is I would gap test my wedges just to kind of see the scoring clubs, make sure that I'm accurate with my numbers. So I would get on a launch monitor and see how far I'm hitting each of my clubs and then maybe adjust from where I thought I was.
I like that a lot. And I think from a confidence standpoint, beginning of the season, we're going to need our wedges a lot. And sometimes you can use your wedges to stop the big number. Like if you've got a long par four, let's say your hardest par four at your course is 450 yards plus, you don't hit a particularly good drive, the likelihood is your second shot's going to be in a 70, 80 yards. We don't want to compound the issue. So we can use our wedges almost to remove the big numbers rather than looking for the birdies. Love what you said about really getting the numbers in. You mentioned the launch monitor. You don't necessarily need a launch monitor. Before you've already typed into the comments, well, I don't have a launch monitor. back in the day, I come from a time before we even had lasers. So you would literally hit to the range if you had a friend. You might hit it at someone. They go, look, it landed there, and you would pace it out.
Are you trying to play the old Steve card right now?
I'm trying to say I am
Old
old Steve.
Steve.
Old Steve.
Old Steve back in my day.
Come in, kids. Let me tell you a story about the ballada and the day Steve got stuck behind the tree, which ironically wasn't as tall as it is now, so I just hit a normal shot. But
So you would pace it off and get your yardage?
just pace it off. And the other thing, so ideally, launch monitor is the easiest way. Pacing it off.
There's affordable launch monitors now,
There's
at least,
tons.
and then there's tons of places you can go with launch monitors.
Yes.
So
There's tons. So you can definitely get access.
they're available.
But
Yeah.
let's say you don't, or maybe you're playing tomorrow and you don't physically have time to go to the launch monitor. I'm pacing it out. If I don't pace it out, an educated guess is better than going out blind. And I think this applies to all of your clubs. An educated guess is better than having none. I'd rather take a piece of paper and go, I think my wedge goes this. I think my 9 goes this. I think my 8 goes this. Because then when I get out on the course, I'm either going to be proved right, or I hit a nice shot, I commit to it. Oh, that went 5 yards further, and then I can change it.
Adjust your numbers.
So can you see, I can get to the answer far quicker than going out blind, getting overwhelmed. You end up making bad swings as a consequence, so then you don't learn.
Yeah.
But wedge numbers, very, very good. What's your third?
Setting goals for the season. So what, and that can change year to year. So I think just kind of reconnecting with your why of what's getting you out there is really important.
Absolutely. Goal. What's the phrase? If you don't write it down, it's a wish. It's a wish. If you don't, what you want is only a wish. If you don't write it down, I think the person who said it was a little bit more coherent than that. Something about a wish.
It's not written down. It never happened.
That's more law.
Covering your tracks.
What I'm trying to say is, it comes down to two things. If you're not prepared to say it, you're probably not going to work towards it. Things being measurable. Goal setting is one that we can do a whole podcast on. But simply, and what do I want to get out of the year? And sometimes it's not just score. It's sometimes not, I want my index to be from here to here. You actually might be happy with your index. It's like, do I want to enjoy myself more? Do I want to, it could be a number of things, but you want to sit down and kind of go, look, this is what I want it to be.
Yeah.
This is how
declare it.
Yeah.
And, make it set.
And I think
write it down.
But I think it's more important to declare it for you, not for the person who's listening.
Because it brings the clarity with it, right? Like understanding what you really want.
And you can't. So like when I have my college team, it's very, very simple. Beginning of the season, you go, what's our top goal? Like what? So we wanted to be UK number one, and that's something that we achieved. Most points ever in a season. Good coach here. Only all me, nothing to do with the players. But can you see? What's the goal? So it was to be UK number one. So you go, well, how am I going to achieve that? Well, we need to train. How do we train? We have to do this. What's acceptable? What's unacceptable? If how should I behave? We had one in the gym, like, can you turn up smelling of alcohol? That's not going to get us to our goal. There's a great book on GB rowing, and it was very simple. Does it make the boat go faster?
Yeah, I love that.
So you see, if I turn up smelling of alcohol, that doesn't make us get to UK number one. But can you see, that's a really structured one, but my one might be, I want to have fun. So what do I need to do to have fun? Well, actually, it'd be nice if I could at least practice a couple times a week, because I have more fun if I don't feel like I'm going out there cold. Yeah. So can you see, setting the goal gives you the opportunity to do the other stuff. But we'll do a whole podcast on goal setting. Yeah. Goal setting's
a fun one.
Really important. And I always find with goal setting, I know I should, and then I don't, and then I go, why am I not doing what I should be doing? And you go, oh, look, like I said, like this one, it's not measurable.
Yeah.
So you go, oh, I'm just, I get it with short games sometimes. I like practicing short game, but I get out there and I'm like, after about 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing out here. I'm not.
Because it's just enjoyable, or just like going out there, you just.
Well, no, there's
like
just no
it.
plan.
Yeah.
So then I after 5 minutes, like, so putting, I go, look, I do this drill, I do this drill, I do this drill. Short game, I arguably enjoy more, but I get out there and I'm like, oh, I haven't got a plan.
No, yeah.
So
And
should I
without the
be doing some
purpose.
maintenance drills? Should I be, and I have loads of drills, I just don't, I go over there without, like I said, without a plan. My third, get a jump. So get a jump on the competition. So what tends to happen with golfers, we've just had the players, so that was exciting, but people really get excited about the Masters.
Yeah.
The Masters is like,
I love the Masters. I already have it blocked off for them
you do.
to watch.
Nobody loves the Masters more than Megan. When we met, I was actually living in Asia, and Megan flew over and we went to Vietnam, and with the time difference, which is literally 12 hours, Megan gets in, we find a bar, and she just watches the Masters through the whole night, and then completely is like out of it for the next day, but just literally flew to Vietnam to watch the Masters in some random bar through the whole night. She loves the Masters. So can you see? So I'm going to use you as the example. You love the Masters. So before the Masters, you're like, oh yeah, I'll play next week. I'll play next week. You play the Masters, you're like, then that finishes. Oh man, I'm going to go out and play. Go out and play. Now, if you had started a few weeks earlier, can you see you've got to jump on your competition?
Okay, so literally a timing thing.
Yeah. And it's not about, oh, you should practice. Like I gave you the college example. I'm not saying, well, I need to come up with a structure like that. It's like, if I usually practice a couple times a week, let's start that 2-3 weeks earlier. What I used to love when I started my season in the UK is to manage my index, which would get me into a lot of tournaments. The first 2 or 3 events at my home club, the standard scratch, or what I think you would call slope now, would go higher, so it would appear the course was playing harder, but it was because I was playing in a field of 100 people that weren't playing. So none of them played particularly well because they hadn't been playing.
Yeah.
So if I had been practicing, obviously I was more into golf than a recreational person that would be playing in that event. You know, it would sometimes say the course was playing a couple shots harder, and actually the course would be soft, arguably it was playing the easiest it would that year.
Yeah.
But because I had done some practice, I would get in there, I'm like, this happy days, more likely to win because other people haven't been playing, but also I could get my handicap down. The system has changed a bit since then. You know, we got the Kongu and the USGA one used to be very separate. They're now it's pretty much USGA with a few of the RNA bits. But yeah, so I'm getting a jump on the field.
So wait, are you saying, so I've been practicing my putting on our new mat, so I'm ahead of the rest of the slackers that didn't practice theirs?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. And then
I like
when
it.
you practice, you don't have to announce it to everyone. Cause
I've been practicing, I've been practicing.
Because that's irritating. Get a jump on the field by, you know, going
No, but I
outside.
bet you a lot of people are thinking like, oh, cool, I have stuff that I've been doing, so I already am ahead of the 8 ball here.
So on a serious note, we do have a new putting mat. I putted great with my, I can't say broom anymore, my thweeper. And what? That's a different
Okay.
It's a different story for a different day. But I putted great and I worked hard, and at the end of the season it started to tail off a bit. I almost, because I was putting well, that 80-20 rule, but I almost dropped it completely. Having the mat with the mirror, I've been doing a little bit of setup stuff. Can you see that is an example of, like, now when I get out and putt, I can start off feeling good rather than having to spend a few weeks not knowing if I'm aiming up correctly, not feeling comfortable. So I can get comfortable by doing some of that basic work early.
And that goes back to your purposeful practice.
Yes.
That we were just talking about.
Absolutely. So there are 3.
Yes.
Get some comments down below. Do you agree, disagree, or do you have one that you're like, look, I always do this. It might be something that you do only at the beginning of the season, but you do feel like it gives you that jump, gives you a little advantage. Yes, to play well, but more so to get in and have fun. I don't like it when people, they're excited, like off the Masters. You watch this great golf at this great course. you go out and then play pretty mediocre, especially to your own standard, and then you're like, oh, don't really want to do this. You know, can we hit the ground running, feel good?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. This is going to be coming out every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, different topics. Do you have a topic? Get that down. We are going to be getting some guests on as well. We've already got some really cool people lined up. Probably the first few will just be me and the ultimate guest, but then we'll get a third slacker in here as well. And as always, stay happy, stay safe. And I hope to catch you soon. We'll work on that.